It's hot.
Very, very hot. Hey guys, welcome to the Weekly Drip, a show where two music nerds create weird and wacky hot sauce recipes based on their favorite songs. I'm your co-host, Mike King.
And I'm your co-host, Wyatt, Dozier.
Make sure to catch up on our podcast, Getting Sauced, for the first part to this episode. Today's episode is based on last week's Getting Sauced podcast, Hat Sauce, where co-host Wyatt Dozier and I broke down Prince's 1985 hit, Raspberry Beret. Over the course of that episode, Wyatt and I decided to make sauces that included raspberries, had something to do with a hat, and reminded us of having sex in a barn. Let's see how we took those ideas and turned them into hot sauce.
Flavor notes.
Even though I'm only using one type of pepper this week, we need to go ahead and burp all of the jars, because if you don't do that regularly, you're going to get explosions, much like we saw last week. That made some awesome content. Of course, I'm going to film myself doing it again, because why not?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Extreme Pepper Jar Burping Hour featuring never before seen varieties including roasted green chilies, roasted habaneros, and roasted poblanos.
Let's open these jars. The ones that I opened last week probably aren't going to be super extreme. Let's just, Okay, I was wrong. I didn't scream like a little girl that time, so we're making progress. Now, the roasted greens I haven't opened up in 2 weeks, so let's see what happens here. I should probably wear some safety glasses or something. Okay, these smell amazing. Okay, feels like there's a lot of pressure on these poblanos. Or habaneros. Super chill. The roasted habaneros. Ancho. Oh, there's those bubbles again. Yeah, there we go. Oh shit. Okay. This one's bubbling too, and it kind of spilled. I'm gonna just let that one sit and bubble for a second, and they are bubbling finally. Oh, that was nice. Now that we got that all out of the way, and everything has been safely discharged, so we don't have any explosions, we're going to put all these back in the cabinets except for the habaneros. Let's do it!
Let's dig into these ingredients a little bit. First and foremost, of course, we have raspberries. Couldn't make a hat sauce based on raspberry beret without raspberries as the main ingredient. We've got a good amount here, should definitely influence the flavor. I think it'll also give us a pretty nice color for our hot sauce, and of course a nice little tart sweetness as well, so I'm pretty excited to work with these. As far as our heat that goes into it, we didn't really talk too much about a specific level of heat, but when I think of a fruity hot sauce, my mind immediately jumps to habanero peppers. Nice mellow heat, but definitely nothing small. There's a good bit of heat there. For the life of me, I can't think of what sex in a barn tastes like, but what's a good euphemism for sex? Mixing it up, right? Let's mix it up in a barn. So I suppose that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna mix up the base with two different vinegars. First, we have the classic white vinegar. It's gonna give a good acid base to help bring out those peppers. And then, of course, we have apple cider vinegar over here. It's still acidic, but it's got a little bit of a sweeter tone to it. I think that's gonna pair really well with the raspberries. And together, I think it's gonna give us a really nice base for this sauce. I wouldn't want my raspberry habanero sauce to be too tart, bitter, and just plain peppery. So I just have so much sugar. I have so much sugar. So it's gonna make it a really, really sweet sauce. It's gonna make it definitely taste really, really nice on the front end, and then when those habaneros hit, it's gonna burn. It's gonna make you wanna come back for more of that sugar. So that's gonna be a nice addition. Along the same lines of sex in a barn, I thought, well, what's an ingredient that you can find in a barn that you can put in a hot sauce? And, well, horses have salt licks. They like to lick salt, so we're gonna put a little salt in there. I'm really grasping at straws here, folks, but we're gonna make it work, so let's see how it works out.
Unlike last week where I put just an absolute gauntlet of different types of peppers in here. We're only going to do one today, and it's going to be habaneros. This is going to be a fruit flavored sauce. It's going to be really, really sweet, and if there's one pepper that pairs the best with fruity flavors, with super sweet things, it's definitely going to be the habanero. There's going to be a lot of sugar in this sauce, so I'm really going to have to load up on these peppers, because if you have an overwhelming amount of one flavor, of course you need an overwhelming amount of another flavor. This one's going to be super spicy, super sweet, super fruity, and hopefully super good. Okay, so I've got 2 jars of habaneros here that I'm going to be putting in. One of them was just put in the fermented solution raw, and the other I roasted them a little bit to soften them up and also get a little bit of color, a little bit of smoky flavor on them. I'm going to include a little bit of both, because I don't want to overdo it on the smokiness, but I also think the smokiness will add some nice depth to offset the incredible sweetness that's going to be coming from the raspberry side of the equation. Okay, so now that we've talked about the heat, now we got to talk about the sweet. I made a raspberry syrup that actually was a component of the beverage that I was drinking during last week's podcast. Quick editor's note. Apparently in the podcast episode, instead of saying raspberry syrup, I said strawberry syrup. I misspoke a little bit. Not really sure what was going on in my brain there, but yeah, we're dealing with raspberries today. That was the Clover Club. It's not that often that we find a hot sauce and our beverage of choice that are sharing a common ingredient. It's probably not going to happen very often on this show, so this is pretty cool. If you're interested in how this is made, I didn't measure out everything precisely, but it's 2 packages of raspberries, some water, and approximately 1 metric buttload of sugar. If you want to get the ratios right for the sugar, just pour sugar into your saucepan until you hear the ghost of Wilford Brimley whisper diabetes in your ear, and then you know you've got it down perfect. So for the acid portion of the sauce, we're bringing back a familiar player from last episode, the red wine vinegar, this time not being put in because of the alcohol reference, but because the lovely red color I think is going to match the nice color of the raspberry syrup pretty well, and also because I think the flavors are going to play pretty nicely together. In addition to that, I'm also going to be bringing some fresh squeezed orange juice into the party as well. I think that will mellow out some of the sweet sugar flavors and kind of bridge the gap between the habanero flavor, the syrup, and the vinegar. And finally, for the kind of barnyard earthiness thing, I had some trouble with this. I was originally going to put some lemon juice in that, but that might be too bright. But I've got some grapefruit here that I think that bitter compound of the grapefruit might work pretty well to provide some kind of earthy, barnyardy type of flavors.
Let's mix it up like Prince did in a barn. That was maybe a little bit too preheated, but that's okay. It's gonna taste great. And we're gonna go ahead and toss our peppers and our raspberries into our vinegar base to let them cook down. I can already tell, probably don't have quite enough base to cover all of the meat of these fruits. So I'm probably gonna have to add a little bit of water here, but that's all right. Just wanna get them nice and soft so they go into the blender a little bit easier.
Slice. All right, so now it's time to simmer and then onto the blender, and then we'll see if we have a winner. You'll notice that all the habaneros in here have all of the seeds. Mike's trying to throw some shade at me on the last episode, saying that I claimed that seeds are too hot and you should take them out of the hot sauce. I did not say that. I think the seeds provided excellent heat, but if you overdo it with certain types of peppers and you don't have enough ingredients to balance it out, it gets too bitter with the seeds. I say leave them in when you can, so, you know, come at me, Mike. I'm putting seeds in here, all right? Putting the seeds.
Now, I don't have a whole lot left to do here, so we're just gonna kind of hang out and let this cook for a while.
We are at a rolling boil now, and this smells freaking amazing. If smell is any indication of how this thing is going to taste, we are in for a sweet heat treat. Yeet!
We already put in our habaneros and raspberries with our vinegar base. Had to add a little bit of water while it was cooking in there just to make sure that kind of cooked down everything evenly. And now we've got our salt and our sugar, which I mixed together in this bowl. We're gonna go ahead and add that. It's gonna pretty much double what's in the content here. Yes, that is quite a bit. And we'll hook up the food processor and see how it turns out.
So we are done simmering and we are ready to blend. Let's do it. Woo! All right, blending on a much lower speed now. I don't know if you can see this too well. This looks like I'm making a smoothie. If I had a much more cruel sense of humor, it'd be a really mean practical joke to play on someone. Be like, hey man, made this really nice smoothie here for you. Like, yeah, just go ahead, fill up your mug and take a jog. Like, it's a nice smoothie. And then it's like mostly made out of habaneros.
I figured the only way I could really make hat a part of this hat sauce would be to just wear a hat while trying it, because I can't really blend a hat into the sauce and make it, safe to eat, FDA approved and whatnot. So I went on, Amazon, went to a couple local boutiques, but all of the berets were just a little bit too small for my giant head. However, I did find one really nice looking hat that I think is gonna fit just fine and will still at least capture the whimsical spirit that is Raspberry Beret by Prince. So we're gonna go ahead and don that now. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and try the sauce. And first of all, we're just gonna take a look at that color. That is just lovely. The raspberries really came through. It's a nice creamy sauce. I didn't add any xanthan gum to this. It just thickened up very, very nicely on its own.
So here we are. We have a mug of what looks like a delicious, frothy raspberry beverage, but is in fact a wickedly hot sauce. But because I'm insane, I'm just gonna straight up take a drink of it because it's in this nice little drinkable mug and hopefully not die. This is for your entertainment.
We are definitely gonna just dig in here and see how it tastes.
What?
Woo! Excuse me.
That's real good.
Wow. It's very, very hot, but very, very sweet when you first dig into it.
Saltier than I thought it was going to be, and I think it's because I put some of the pepper brine. Oh, the heat's coming.
Oh, it tastes like candy at first. It tastes like a jelly-filled donut almost, and then it just punches you in the back of the throat with habanero.
I got the hiccups, so I'm gonna battle through this. I put some of the pepper brine that I was fermenting into this, and that added way more of a saltiness component than I thought it was going to. That was unexpected, but it kind of offsets the extreme sweetness of the raspberry syrup. I'm gonna straight up take another drink of this.
The vinegar is balanced just right. I really think the apple cider cut into the white vinegar very well. I'm gonna go back for more.
Not only is this like wickedly hot, but it's also still really hot from a temperature standpoint too, from simmering. So this is straight up stupid to just drink this like a beverage. What kind of food would I put this on? I don't know, because it's really sweet.
It's so sweet. Oh, but then it's so hot. This is far and above better than my last sauce. I will put this shit on everything I eat this week.
I know. If you had some like al pastor tacos with like grilled pineapple on it.
Anything I can find that needs a sweet sauce, this is going on it. Fantastic. Super excited.
It's sweet, it's salty, it's tangy, it's fruity. What more do you want? This is awesome. I'm crying, both from the sauce, but also tears of joy, because of how beautiful this is.
All right, I just had an idea of a great pairing for this sauce. So I decided it's such a sweet sauce, we're gonna try it on a little bit of vanilla ice cream. And also, who doesn't love red berries with a little bit of chocolate sauce on them? So we're gonna try it with a little bit of chocolate sauce on that vanilla ice cream as well. Just drizzle that on there, a little more for good measure. The ice cream really cuts into the heat. You get a lot more of the raspberry on there.
Alright, well, I'm probably going to guess that Mike and I's recipes are going to be relatively similar. So it might be a tough call, but let us know who you think did it better based on our recipes and descriptions down in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you all so much for checking out our video this week. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment whose sauce you thought was better, mine or Wyatt's. I don't know how he could possibly compete with this, honestly. I don't mean to sound cocky, but this is one of the best sauces I've ever made. Hands down. Definitely a winner in my book. Also, make sure to check out Getting Sauced, our podcast. It's available on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find that. We'll drop a link down in the description as well. We'll catch you next time.
On That's right, I kept my beret from marching band. I'm that guy.